Okay, good evening everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. Tonight, we're going to learn something vital regarding the great mitzvah of being mitzapel Yeshua. The Chafetz Chaim in this third chapter is discussing the importance of learning Kachim. Because if we're really prepared for Moshiach, if we are really awaiting Moshiach, we got to be ready for his coming. We can't say, yeah, we're waiting, and then when it comes, we're going to have no idea what to do. And people are going, so you say, well, I'll ask the Kohanim. And who are the Kohanim going to ask? They'll have to ask the Talmidei Chacham. So at the very least, the Talmidei Chachamim need to know what to do. But says the Chafetz Chaim, V'hinei lefi goydel mitzukas hazman, in accordance with the difficulties of the time, shematzoi ke'etz v'amnaseinu harabim, that are common, that we find because there are many sins. Practically, all of the signs that the Gemara says at the end of Soita, the last mission in Soita, and the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Tzadi Zayin, Tzadi Ches, Bevadai, Be'ez Kirav Hagula, at the time of the approach of the redemption, Bevadai Yesh Kavas Hagula, we definitely can anticipate the redemption. Therefore we have to energize ourselves to protect, to prepare, how to do the avodah and the halachos. Now, here's the point that I want to focus on today. Because, so you say, what's the big deal? Right now I'm busy. I have a lot of things I need to do. I gotta clean up my garage. I gotta pay a few bills. I have things I gotta take care of. I have my kid has a book report next week, and who do you think is going to do it? I have to do it. So how about this? When Moshiach comes, I'll take off 2 weeks and I'll get down the halachos. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the last thing you want to be doing when Moshiach comes is delaying him. He says, "V'lechna re'ei ma'ashar mechazal." Please come and see what Chazal say. Go and see what Chazal say. Le'inyan Mashiach. Shara Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Mashiach saw Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. To have a Chazal say that they saw Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Actually, excuse me. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi saw Mashiach. To have a shari va'asar kamaka b'fnei atzma. Mashiach was, like full of wounds, and he was untying and tying each wound by itself. V'lo hakol b'yachad, and not everything together. Basically, Mashiach had a lot of bandages, and instead of untying and then tying them all together, he did one at a time. What? And it was sort of, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was incredulous. That's much more time consuming. Why don't you just untie and tie all at once? V'hatam hisha ba'atzmai. So Mashiach himself gave the reason. Maybe God will tell him, okay, it's time, go redeem the Jewish people. And he doesn't want to have to delay. You see, if he unties everything, and Hashem says, go Mashiach, go redeem them, then he's going to have to wait a few moments to tie everything. But this way, if he unties and then ties one at a time, so basically what he's going to be doing is delaying Mashiach only a few moments instead of a few minutes, only a few seconds instead of longer. Says the Chafetz Chaim, let's make the following argument, the following kavachomer. If it's not kedai to delay Klal Yisrael for an extra moment, in other words, Mashiach says, instead of untying and tying everything at once, I'll do one at a time, because I don't want to delay when I get the word. What are we going to say if Mashiach comes? And he's going to tell us in the name of God, okay, you got to bring all the karbanos for the Jewish people. The karbanos and all the karbanos that are mentioned in Sefer Yechezkel. We have to wait a few weeks and a few months until we're proficient in the halachas. In other words, if Mashiach doesn't want to delay the coming of the redemption a few seconds, then we have to make sure that when Mashiach comes, we're ready to roll. When Mashiach comes, we need to be ready to roll with all the karbanos. Now, there's a very important footnote here, but I want to skip it because I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. He says, Lechna ure'ei ma'adisa b'chayros. Please go and see what it says in B'chayros. The lefikach bitlu shloi la'aser maser behema. You know, they were mevatel the mitzvah of maser behema. I have to mitzvah sasei da'iraisa, even though it's biblical. Why? Mishum da'asar lidei takala. Because if we keep maser behema going, and we give the maser behema to a Levi, it could come to an error. Since we don't have an altar to be makriv karbanesan, so what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to wait until there's a mum. We're going to have to wait until a mum falls on the animal. In other words, if we're going to continue the mitzvah maser behema, then what's going to happen? Every maser behema we're going to have to wait until a mum falls in it. And in the interim, you might share it, you might work it, asli de giz v'avoda. It's going to come to sharing, meaning shearing. You're going to share the animal, or you're going to work the animal. So the Gemara says, what's the problem? Why don't you, now we know you're not allowed to put a mum in it after it's meiser, but why don't you put a mum in all the animals while it's chulin, before you make it meiser? Because you're allowed to put a mum into an animal before it's meiser. The Gemara asks, Nijdei be mum, b'chulei edrei, put a mum in the whole flock, koidem shena aser eso eder, before we take off meiser on the flock. Du adayin chulin, it's still chulin. Umuter lahatel b'hamum, and it's permitted to put a mum in it. Umeshani, and the Gemara answers, mehero yibana hamikdash. You can't put a mum in all the animals, because the Beis Hamikdash will be built right away. Ubayinin behema lahakrava, and you're going to need an animal to bring v'lo shchichi, and they won't be common if you end up putting mumin in the whole flock. Ayin Shama Gemara. That means v'harei mishum chshash zeh, because of the chshash that Mashiach might come immediately. Bitlu mitzvah sasei da'iraisa, they were mavatel and asei da'iraisa. V'lama lo'inema mehiro yibana hamikdash. So why don't we have the same concern? The Beis Hamikdash will be built immediately. Ubayin kaihanim lahakrava, and we're going to need kaihanim to be makriv karbanos. V'lo shchichi v'chanal, and it won't be common. They won't be available, like we said earlier. So basically, the point of what we're learning today is when Mashiach comes, you got to be ready to roll. Ready to roll means you know what to do in terms of being makriv the karbanos. Tomorrow we'll address, when Mashiach comes, won't Eliyahu Hanavi come? And he'll answer all of our shailas. So we'll say, Eliyahu, tell us what to do. Why do we have to spend time learning Zvachim and Menachos? When Mashiach comes, Eliyahu will let us know. That's what we'll discuss tomorrow. Be'ezras Hashem. Okay, thanks everybody for joining today, and have a wonderful evening. By the way, if anybody wants, tonight at 9:15 is Daf HaShavua at Ksubis Samach Yom Beis. Kol Tov, everyone.